this is Courtney here today to talk to you about what is FU money. And so this is a term that is used a lot in the financial independence world, the FIRE community, financial independence, retire early. And so what it actually means is kind of what it sounds like, but really it means freedom unlimited. And so my husband and I are using our FU money for me to go ahead and take a sabbatical or possibly retire early, and for him to retire at 65 rather than the full Social Security retirement age of 66.8. And so for a lot of younger people who get on board with this when they're younger and are a lot I'd say smarter than we are, but this information wasn't really readily available when my husband and I were young. It wasn't taught as much. It would have really made a big difference in our lives. So let's talk about what FU money is. If you're familiar with the Dave Ramsey baby steps, it's like get $1,000 emergency fund, pay your debts, save an emergency fund, fund your children's retirement, pay the house off, and then and at some point in there, it's fund your investments. I think it's 10 to 15%, and then pay the house off, and then share the wealth. But it kind of there's a gap between the invest, pay your house off, and share the wealth. Like, what happens in between there? Well, the FIRE community kind of addresses the problem of once you've done the baby steps, then what? And so my husband and I did the baby steps. We had actually. I had done it before, and then I don't want to go into the situation. I was in a bad marriage. And so when I got divorced, there was some debt. It wasn't crazy. I say it wasn't crazy. It was under $50,000. And I was lower income because we had been a household where I worked part-time taking care of the kids, and my ex-husband was the main breadwinner. So when we got divorced, I had to kind of start over. I found that was in 2011. I found the FIRE community around 2017, but I'd been in the Dave Ramsey community. I'd been in the Simple Living community. So I had done the save the emergency fund, pay the debts off. By 2018, I paid my last debt off. I had been debt-free except for a car that I used for a business. I paid that off in 2017. And then, or maybe it was 2018, I can't remember. It was when I sold my house in town. And then we were completely debt-free. It would take 4 more years for us to pay the house off. But in that time, we were building a big emergency fund. We ended up having a pretty nice size emergency fund. And one day I called my husband. I said, let's just go pay the house off. We have enough to live for like 6 months to a year if we buckled down and pay the balance of the house, which it was like $46,000. We'd paid it down from $218 down to $46,000. So we did. I hear a lot of people actually do this in the FIRE community. Like, they get to that point where they're like, yeah, I could pay the house off, and they just go do it. So we did, and I know if you're like new to finances and stuff, this may seem impossible, but just understand that 11 years ago, my now husband of almost 5 years and I were 2 broke single parents with low paying jobs. We built a business together. We have both worked multiple jobs and side hustles for a long time. We are just now getting to the point where we can quit doing that by being debt-free, paying our house off, and saving a large emergency fund. To me, the FU money comes in where the large emergency fund, you continue to grow that. This kind of all happened a little quicker than I thought it would, in the sense that, yes, we've been working towards it for years. But when we paid the house off in March, I had no idea that our business would have such a busy year. We have a business, we are contractors, and so we happen to be roofing contractors. And there was a really big hailstorm in the area where most of our clientele is. And for years, we've nurtured and these relationships with people. We don't even advertise. The only thing we do is we put a sign in people's yard when we do their yard. So, and we have a Facebook page. So the storm came. We had paid our house off. Well, we'd gotten so used to living on so little, and we kept our expenses low, that we were able, right as it stands today, we have about 5 to 6 years of income because our bills are low. They're like $2,500 to $3,000 a month. And that's having a really good life, not really having to watch the money too much, that we are actually able to, we don't need a lot to live on. So my doctor says to me, Courtney, you really need to take a 3-month sabbatical to get well, because during the pandemic, I got sick twice and I'd had a car accident, and I have a lot of issues with my breathing and my heart from that. So long story short, I'm sitting there one day and I'm looking at the finances, and some things are going on at work. The medical community has really taken a hit. The program I work for has taken a really bad hit. We are working on a skeleton crew. It's become very stressful. And I was working kind of hit or miss. So my work as a contractor had fallen to less than half. And it got to the point where it was like, I am making good hourly money for the work I'm doing, but there's not enough work to make it worth it. And so my accountant said to me one day, like, why are you working? Like, you literally only made about $12,000 this year after expenses. And I started to realize that the cost of working was really, my burn rate was faster than like driving my car, oil changes, tire changes, brakes, clothes for work, makeup for work, being too tired to clean my house, so hiring someone to clean, the cost and stress of traveling through really bad construction every day. So I talked to my husband and I said, we've got like 5 years of income saved, and in 6 months my husband will be eligible to draw his pension. It's only about $10,000 a year. But we also have our roofing business that pays us $74,000 a year. But mind you, that's if we're busy. But we have been consistently busy to the point that I think our lowest year was $65,000. So we should be fine, because all we need is like $36,000 a year to live. So we decided that I would leave. I have told him I 100% support him leaving in 6 months when he's pension eligible, but he's unsure. He's got to decide for himself if he's going to do that. And then in 2.5 years, I believe that he is going to be full retirement age, which with Social Security means that you can earn money and draw your full Social Security without taking any kind of financial hit towards Social Security. He could wait till he was 70, but we looked at all the factors and decided not to do that. That's when your Social Security check is at the highest. But if you wait till your full retirement age, take Social Security, you can earn as much as you want. And if you're still earning, your Social Security is growing as well. So that's where we are. And that is what we're doing. What is FU money? FU money is a bridge to get you from a gap in your quit date and your retirement date, or it could be taking the money to get out, maybe go back to school for a year or two. It could be taking a year off to have a sabbatical to take care of family or just to take care of your mental health. It could be money to give you some time to start a new business, to build a new business. So there are so many different ways that you can use FU money. There's no real formula for how much it is. It's just enough that you feel comfortable when you sit down and look at all the factors. So what our goal is that this money, we have enough to live on until he is a full Social Security age, and enough to live on until I am old enough to take off the investments that we have, which would give us another like $1,600 and be like $46,000 a year. So do we want to burn through all of our savings at a point where we're slowing down with work? No. So what we have decided is for this next year and a month, if we start having to use our savings to live off, if our roofing company is not producing for whatever reason enough money, then I will go back to work part-time probably. And he will choose not to leave the court if he so should choose. I don't think that's going to be a problem. And a lot of people have made comments on my videos like, just quit already. You should just retire. Don't worry about it. But we have a farm, a 40-acre farm that property taxes and insurance is kind of expensive on. And we have a bunch of rescued animals. We also have a child that is disabled. We have 6 kids and 3 grandkids. And we want to be able to travel to go see our kids and grandkids. We want to be able to travel and enjoy life. So there's some quality of life things that we really want that we have to think about before we just pull the plug on everything. And that we have, really looked at. And I'm very risk averse, so I'm going to look at all the probable problems before I make a decision. I'm going to make a responsible decision. And it's still, even at that, scary. So I think Dave Ramsey's baby steps are great, but once you get that emergency fund done and you're investing your whatever percentage we have a very high investment rate. We invest about 50 to 60% of our income. And I say invest, what I mean is IRA, money market, savings, and I'm about to do some I-bonds and some CDs. So we have a very high savings rate. We live on about a third of our income, but at the point where you quit working, that quits coming in. So once you've saved your emergency fund and you've done all the things you're supposed to do, you've paid off your house, all that, you don't even have to pay your house off if you have enough of emergency fund. Build up that emergency fund so that it can give you several years, not just 1 year or 6 months, but several years of time should you want to go back to school, quit your job, take a sabbatical, care for someone you love, or just care for your mental health, or start a new business. So I hope this has been helpful and solves the question of what is FU money or freedom unlimited. Thank you. Bye-bye.